Hold there, foul monster! Cease the knocking of thy craven knee, and prepare to battle! I swear, you're graced by my wife's little black mustache. That is my wife! You're
And how many birthdays have you?
1.
And if you take 1 from 365, what remains?
364, of course.
Humpty Dumpty looked doubtful.
I'd rather see that done on paper,
he said. Alice couldn't help smiling as she took out her memorandum book and worked the sum for him. 365 minus 1 equals 364. Humpty Dumpty took the book and looked at it carefully.
That seems to be done right,
he began.
You're holding it upside down.
Alice interrupted.
To be sure, I was.
Humpty Dumpty said gaily as she
Is that a Timex?
No. It's a movie.
20, 2 and 20, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 20, 27, 28, 29, 30, 1 and 30, 2 and 30, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 30, 37, 38, 39, 40, 1 and 40, 2 and 40, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 40, 47, 48, 49, 50, 1 and 50, 2 and 50, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 50, 57, 58, 59, 60, 1 and 60, 2 and 60, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 60, 67, 68, 69, 70, 1 and 70, 2 and 70, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 70, 77, 78, 79, 80, 1 and 80, 2 and 80, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 80, 87, 88, 89, 90, 1 and 90, 2 and 90, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 90, 97, 98, 99,
100. Yes, sir. So yeah, man, with the Flaggerman Square, yeah, I do it.
I guess we change for the phone.
No change. Have to buy something. 85 cents.
What?
85 cents.
I don't understand.
85 cents. 85 cents.
85 cents. That doesn't give me enough money for the phone call. I'll give you 50 cents, you give me 50 cents change.
No way.
Yes, way.
Drink, 85 cents. You pay or go.
It's a phi. I don't understand a phi. There's a V in the word. It's five. You don't got V's in China?
Not Chinese. I'm Korean.
Whatever. You come to my country, you take my money, you don't even have the grace to learn how to speak my language. You're Korean. You have any idea how much money my country has given your country?
How much?
I don't know. It's got to be a lot to be better than this.
You go now. No trouble.
Hey, that Flackerman Square right now, you know?
What do you think of that?
Here
you go. What are you doing? Jesus Christ! What is this? The last stand on Fiji? What?
Take the money! Take your hands away from the Americans! Stop it!
Speak slowly and distinctly.
Take the money!
You think I'm a thief? You see, I'm not the thief. I'm not the one charging 85 cents.
Hear me now. Me know so that is true. I wanna play all Flaggerman hero of the music. But yes, this is with Dr. Joe. Hear me now.
Hi.
Yes, I'd like a ham and cheese omelet, wham fries.
I'm sorry. We stopped serving breakfast, but we are on lunch menu now.
I want breakfast.
Well, you can't have it when I'm serving it.
So you said. Is that the manager? Can I speak to him, please?
Sure. Rick, there's a customer that would like to speak to.
Yes, sir. I'd like some breakfast.
We stopped serving breakfast.
I know you stopped serving breakfast, Rick. Sheila told me you stopped serving breakfast. Why am I calling you by your first names? I don't even know who you are. I still call my boss Mister. I worked for him for 7.5 years, but I walk in here all of a sudden total stranger. I'm calling you Rick and Sheila like we're in some kind of AA meeting. I don't want to be your buddy, Rick. I just want a little breakfast.
Well, you can call me Miss Wilson.
Sheila, we stopped serving breakfast at 11:30.
Rick, have you ever heard the expression, the customer is always right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, here I am, the customer.
That's not our policy. You have to order something from the lunch menu.
I don't want lunch. I want breakfast.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm really sorry.
Yeah? Well, hey, I'm really sorry, too.
Calm down, everybody. Sit down over there.
Mister, where are you going? No. You sit down there and you finish your lunch. Come on. Everybody just relax.
I want us to watch this video from a Jamaican, a Chinese, who she has come out and say Jamaica accent is not an African dialect. What she probably means is Jamaica patois language. It is not made of only African dialect. So guys, watch this video, then I'll come back with more comments.
The Jamaican accent is not an African dialect.
Hi, my dear. Descendant of
Rick,
Paul
could I have my
Bogle here,
breakfast, please?
Cameroonian,
Yes, sir.
as
Sheila?
well as descendant of the McPhersons here from Britain. Okay, just need to clarify some stuff for you. Yes, the Jamaican accent actually is
Rick?
African.
Miss Folsom.
Africa
Yes, sir.
and Jamaica
You know
are
what?
part of the same continent
You're right, I
and
think I've changed my
landmass.
mind.
So
I'm gonna have some
Britain.
lunch.
So is
Could I have
Western
a
Europe.
double whammy
It's
burger
all
with cheese?
Africa. And
You
the
getting this?
original
Yes, sir.
indigenous
And
Africans
an order of whammy fries.
and Scottish and
And,
Spanish
see,
were all black.
A chocolate wham shake.
Even, yes,
Yes, sir.
King John
Should I get his order?
and Isabella of
Rick, could you
Portugal
get it for
and
me,
Spain,
please?
when they started the slave trade, yes,
I feel more
they
comfortable now
sent
calling
black
you Rick.
Negroes from black
We've been through
Spain
together.
to the New World, part of which was Jamaica. And you know what? There were already a bunch of black people there. No, they weren't Indians. They were actually indigenous black people, because that's a piece of the continent of Africa. So yes, Britain, Jamaica, and Africa and Western Europe are all places that have indigenous black people in them. And of course, being a McPherson, there's a book called From Whence Come the Irish, and my McPherson descendants in there are described as black, lusty, strong, indentured servants. And no, McPherson is not their slave name. It's their actual name, because the McPhersons are the Maccabees from the Bible. And so are the Ashantis, who are actually a Levitical priest from Western Africa. And that's where Paul Bogle comes from. And that's where the Maroons come from. So in fact, the Jamaican dialect is a form of Hebrew. It's a combination of the British, Irish, Scottish accent mixed with Cameroonian. And if you listen to a lot of the words, it's all Hebrew. That's why they play Skia music, because Yah is the name of our God. And that's why they play Yah's jazz music. So, no, it's not your country. It's our country. It's our land. And guess what? The Chinese are descendants of Canaan, according to Genesis 10. Sino was the youngest son of Canaan. And Sino-American wars, Sino-Russian wars, the Canaanites have always loved to be in our land and amongst our people. And one even married Judah. Her name was Sheba. Okay, so it's typical for you to want to be in our land, but no, it's not your country. And now you've been educated by a Bogle and a McPherson, who's indigenous to Britain, Jamaica, and Africa. So now you're educated. Baruch, bless you.
So guys, I hope you have seen that video of this Chinese, Jamaican Chinese lady. She has come out and said Jamaican accent, that it is patois language, it is not made of only African dialect, and which it is true at some point. Also, you know guys, first of all, the motto of Jamaica, it is out of many one people. That is the official motto of Jamaica, which means that in Jamaica we have mixed races. We have people from Africa, we have people from Asia, we have white people. So in Jamaica we have mixed races, and also because of how Jamaica we have these mixed races, also in the patois language, it is not only made of African dialect, it is also made of Irish, made of Scottish, and also the English being the major language. But some point, I think these now Chinese people, they have come too far, and also they are teaching us that they want now to lecture Jamaicans to know their history, while Jamaicans, they know their history. For me, what I can tell you, people, that now these people, they have come and realized because of seeing Jamaicans, the Jamaican, it has become a black dominatory country. The majority of people in Jamaica, they are black, and that it is the fact they cannot change that fact. Now they are coming and saying Jamaican language, it is not an African dialect. Jamaican, it is not an African country. Some of them also
keep sending them west, kill off them food supply. You know,
season burn, yeah. So my auntie them just arrived. Yeah.
It's not all people, some people fight against it, like Mr. Jackson. This is the way most people want it.
Don't take long though. No.
How would them be? Black bean.
Apparently,
And bully beef. And
they
thing.
collect less taxes from money I work
Nutrition
for
farm. But that look old though, man.
than is required.
Careful enough because if it expire, don't use it.
How is that my fault?
It expire?
Yes.
If it careful enough,
Pay
5 years, man,
automatically
don't
into
use
this
it.
tax account.
They were sick new. They were sick new. If they
I
expire
have to
too
wait
long, you
until
know.
tax time to find out now. This
I'll check the date for you.
I have to go through them and I have to go through the IRS.
No, it's okay.
Illness.
It was production was 2021 and it go to 2026. So it good. It good. It good. It good. Consider one though.
$15,000 into benefits, which I never got the chance.
You see, this one expired now. This one expired in October.
Each time
Yeah.
I go to emergency.
October 23.
Right. I have
Yeah.
thousands of dollars.
Use it at the pot. Yeah, have a drink, yeah? Yeah, deal with that for me, yeah? And if any fish get night, I'll bring them, come make a cook them.
Watch what boiled eggs do to your body.
This is
And I'll get back on my and if the bigger fish them there. So yeah guys, so here's the chicken coming on nicely. Over here we have barbecue sauce. This is the diner sauce. Let's see what on the chicken soon. Stay tuned, I'll show you what's going on later when we sauce up the chicken and thing and ready to eat, you know? Hey auntie? Yeah, I don't even have a drink with cheers. Auntie them there drink up some nice Appleton, yeah? Wow!
You man run it, but
oh.
sometimes I'm not sure.
What you're aiming at? Emma, what you aiming at? That yellow monster down there. Yeah, well, look at it and pull the trigger. It's really easy.
Please continue to hold.
Where's the trigger?
I see how far into it.
Yeah, that's good. That's a water very full, eh? You don't know? After the chapter for you.
45 minutes in. Talk to nobody else. Please keep in mind that this publication is for information only. It may not account for every tax collection scenario. It's also not a technical analysis of tax law and does not include a detailed explanation of your rights. For an explanation of your rights, please see publication 1, Rights as a Taxpayer. For them start with that. Making demands first. Go through this fine print
Yeah, make it up, sir.
See the game.
That's cool. Yeah, get about key. Have some crazy information. Super people. See? Yeah, it was sweet, sir. What I'm talking
Overview. Filing a tax return, billing and collection. General steps for billing to collection. What you should do when you get an IRS bill. Go to contact for help. We used to pay your taxes. Options for paying in full. Option if you can't pay in full now. If you're unable to pay at this time, how long we have to collect taxes? How to appeal an IRS decision. If you don't pay on time, understanding collection action. Collection action is federal tax.
Watch out, man. Watch my cat. Get on the neighbor.
Notice of federal tax lien. Levy. Seizure of property.
Man, I drive them kind of vehicle and I get the front and I let her pay things.
You know who was the priest?
With a gangster. Get a cool like ice. I think it's a sweet sap. I can't get my one so easy, you know. No, we are not there.
It's a priesthood.
Yeah, you know what I say? You're not worried about it.
You know the God's work.
Broke up where I broke.
Collect the money. Having fun.
You don't know something that we shall style is already. And I do some fun.
You don't serve them belly.
And Karen, you know, when time the boy come up, we never like my
Using the people.
The eyes are coming to stand and things.
Right.
And I love that.
Next step is a summons. used to secure information.
Can't deal with.
So everything about
I care about that. That's level just code. Different in a carrot. You know, it's a big air boy.
that follow you through life. Intersections affecting passports.
Watching back.
Wow.
She got fingers. Some bad man police there. Oh, yeah, so.
I think it's over 65,000.
Yeah, I know. I want to come like a sticky situation. Big man. You don't know I'm part of that. All of the carrot. And I'm going to tell my day now. Don't check and check out.
65,000 is half a way. Actually, they took half.
Oh, yes, it's a setup.
The person is making 140 to 150.
They got close to full of blow. Feel like it's a setup style.
That
started. All this unfold in front of my eyes.
This
sugar just passed cute also while ago, man. I'm slow and I look like I'm surprised. You're a real child. Believe that.
This got being said. Come across. So they generate a revolution by stepping on the masses.
Right.
So they rise up. So the masses now, when they pay their IRS bills, they fund the army. It's going to be used against them.
It's tree here. Sure, me now. My God. Loaded.
Fund the system because blood funds to the body. You understand that?
Watermelon here like crazy.
The only way now to meet freedom obligations.
Cut the size of these watermelon, man.
There's revenue. These kill out the population. By war and disease. You understand?
Trees loaded.
This is real what? People. Do you see wars? Do you see pestilence?
Or would that be a dope here, a gun, man?
Do you think a gun is pointed to your head?
Sugar, I'm not a gunman. I'm not a gunman in there. I just put one of my shoes in my something like me tell the Trigger. Sugar, I'm confused right now. I just want to lie down. I'm just stressed out. Just go on and I'm going to lie down the Trigger.
354 from. Who could have really be so dumb? I've come in and come try and play
Trigger,
my
you're
girl.
crazy. I want
Better
you.
pray for your life.
I know I come kill
Like
nobody
today
in my
I'm
house,
dead.
you know.
Cause I'm boy with three
The
pieces of
Trigger,
red
I
and
beg you. They're killing me now. I don't want to dope in my house.
Rotted. Left my key. Ja. I tell me I forgot foot it. I can't left my gear on there, so. No.
See the source of my pain. I can shower you with gunshot like rain.
No, I'm gonna call the police. This man out to kill me.
Tell the police, me run things around here. I'm gonna grab him. Don't make him escape.
Bang, see there, come down. See there, bang. Right there, bang. Yeah, bang. Bang, bang. Yo! Bomba in there. Bang, see there, come down. See there, bang. Right there, bang. Yeah, bang. Bang, bang. Yo! Bomba in there.
Only a incredibly speedy flash of information in our consciousness that convinces us that this world is factually material. When the science gets into it and they look at an atom, it's all empty space. In fact, they can never really find the electron, proton, or etc. When they go to look at them, they are not there. So they do all of these tricks to say that they are there. We know the mass is there and so on, but it only exists at that time that we are in fact measuring it. And this comes back to the 22 trillion times a second pulse that creates all of our materium and creates all matter and all the material effects, all forms of energy, gravity, light, sound, all of that kind of stuff, radiation, all of that comes from the pulse. And if you have this ontological... view that consciousness exists. We know this, actually, and it's stupid of the gritologists to take their approach because they're denying their own consciousness. And you should be able to say, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. And you can also repeat that, right? Or reverse it. And you can say that I am, and this allows me to think. And that's probably a better statement of it, right? Because thought and cognition and stuff are artifacts of the consciousness. Anyway, so... consciousness receives from the things it creates that we call physics, the physical reality and the physical interaction of that physical reality with itself and the energies and so on, right? And so if you figure out, it really gets long and involved, and it's these very nice thought experiments to go down, and you can learn a lot of different things. So I determined the nature of magnetism, thinking about this, and then I came up with, so I said, okay, so if magnetism exists as it does, and what benefits does consciousness get out of it? Pursued that for a while, and then I started on the ancillary part of it and that is what benefit does my consciousness derive from this information, from this understanding about how magnetism interacts with the rest of the materium and why it exists within the materium. And so magnetism is a component of the electromagnetism, right? And so magnetism is electricity. Electricity is our materium, but electricity doesn't exist without magnetism. And actually, magnetism won't exist without electricity. So you get into all these different kinds of things, but you can think them down. My point being was that I had 9 patents that I'd applied for. This was back a few years. I was doing these things with physical permanent magnets, okay, and I had achieved some really spectacular effects. So almost all of the magnetic magic in your world exists from electromagnetism. So there's electromagnetism in this recorder. There's the there's the little bit of electricity that causes the magnetism to write a little tiny magnetic bubble onto the media here that is actually storing my voice as
for curvature of 600 feet. Think of that, and then please credit engineers as not being quite such fools. Nothing of the sort is allowed. We no more think of allowing 600 feet for a line of 30 miles of railway or canal than of wasting our time trying to square the circle.
I know you're gonna dig this.
If the Earth was actually a globe, spinning at a mind-numbing 1,000 miles per hour, how is it that we do not feel its motion? There is not a single person on Earth that can testify to feeling the Earth's alleged spin. We feel the motion when travelling in a car, train, boat, plane, and can experience motion sickness. The scientist magicians will tell you that we do not feel the Earth spin because it is spinning at a constant speed. They often use the analogy of a train ride. We only feel that we are moving when the train changes speed. This analogy, however, falls apart when you consider that in the heliocentric model, the Earth is not an enclosed system, but it is an open environment with its own drastically changing weather. If you were sitting on top of the train moving at a constant speed, and not inside it, you would certainly feel the motion. Furthermore, they also contradict themselves. In a 2016 article titled, "NASA Study Solves 2 Mysteries About Wobbling Earth," they state that the Earth does not always spin on an axis. Instead, it wobbles irregularly over time, and that the direction has changed drastically due to changes in water mass on Earth. It's weird that no one has felt this. Which one is it, NASA? The stealthy, unnoticeable spin, or irregular movement patterns and wobbles? The whole notion of a spinning globe becomes absurd when you consider this. If the Earth was actually rotating, then helicopters and balloons would only need to hover over the surface and wait for their destination to come to them. Similarly, if it were a curved spaceball, then aeroplane pilots would constantly need to readjust their altitude downwards so they did not continue straight and start heading out to space. They would have to descend 2,777 feet, or over half a mile every single minute. This of course is not the case, and pilots are never instructed or taught this mechanism of flight. And what does a real pilot have to say about it?
Am I allowed to say hi? Hey, I just want to say thanks for the smooth flight. I have one question. Is there like a specific angle of downward tilt you have to fly at? 3 degrees. 3 degrees for the curvature of the Earth? Out for the Earth? Because, yeah, we just fly over the troposphere. Really? Do you have to keep like kind of going down because you have to go up? Really? Because I was reading some stuff on the flat Earth that made a lot of sense. Have you looked into it? I was reading a lot of stuff on the flat Earth. Okay, yeah. True. That's true? Yeah. Okay, cool. Alright, God bless, brother. Alright, have a good one. You too.
I just got one question to ask. Flat or a ball? Well, I've never seen this breaking round. If we live on a ball, surely we'd have to fly around it. Yeah, it feels like flat or a ball. Yeah, me too. It certainly does, doesn't it? And you've got that flatness coming down there that you can gravity is an unproven theory.
Such an immense mass would of necessity cause a tremendous rush of wind in the space it occupied. The wind would go all one way, and anything like clouds which got within the sphere of influence of the rotating sphere would have to go the same way. The fact that the Earth is at rest is proved by kite flying. And honestly, if the Earth was a fast rotating globe, then wouldn't the oceans and other bodies of water be pushed away from the Earth in the same way as when a wet tennis ball is spun rapidly, the water sprays outwards? The scientist magicians have an answer for this. They call it gravity. The scientists' magicians are at it again, weaving their spells and telling us tales of a powerful force keeping us rooted to the earth. If gravity was such a powerhouse, then birds would struggle to fly. Insects would not be able to use wind to navigate. Monkeys would not climb and jump among trees with ease. Planes would not be able to take off from the ground. Trees would not be able to overcome gravity's pull in their growth towards sunlight and would begin to bend towards the earth the taller they became. And if gravity exists and has the power to bend and wrap the oceans around a gigantic spinning ball, then humans would certainly struggle to lift their arms and legs. Legend has it that an apple fell on Newton's head as he sat under the tree, and this was the catalyst for his great discovery of gravity, which claims that objects are attracted to large masses and gravitate towards their center. However, when they talk about gravity, what they are actually referring to is the law of density relative to mass.
Today, I'm going to show you a simple science experiment that you can try at home to learn about density. Start by taking an empty glass and tip in some water and food colouring. Then add some syrup or treacle. And I'm going to add a little bit more water to make the layer a bit thicker. Then finally, fill the glass up with some oil and leave it to settle for about 15 minutes. These liquids separate out into different layers because they're different densities and they don't mix. The syrup has the highest density, so it sits on the bottom, and the oil, which has the lowest density, rises to the top. Try dropping different objects in to see what happens. If we drop this metal nut in, which is really dense, you can see it sinks right to the bottom. But if I take this grape and drop it in, it sinks through the oil and water, but sits on the syrup. This is because the syrup is denser than the grape. Pretty cool, huh? Now if I take this plastic bottle top and drop it in, it slowly sinks through the oil and sits on the water. And finally, if I take this piece of sponge and drop it in, it sits on top.
It is a scientific fact, verified by undisputable evidence, that when objects are placed in mediums with less density, they sink, and when placed in mediums with higher density, they rise or float. For example, a rock in water will sink because the object's density is greater than the water's density, as will a ship's anchor. Likewise, helium-filled balloons rise because they are lighter than the air. Submarines float on the ocean when their ballast tanks are empty and contain air, and they sink when their ballast tanks begin to be filled with water. This is how they manipulate their depth in the ocean, by adjusting the ratio of air and water in the tanks. This is proven by filling a balloon with 50% air and 50% helium. As helium is lighter than air, and the ratios are even, the balloon remains fixed in the air without rising or falling. Again, much like the Earth's curve and spin, we do not witness smaller objects on Earth gravitating and orbiting around or being pulled towards larger objects. It seems very convenient that gravity's tendency to make smaller objects orbit around larger objects is exclusive to the globe itself and all the supposedly surrounding planets and stars, none of which we can actually see in motion or orbit.
Without contemplation, baby, you're the one. Michelle, in my head, the name is ringing a bell. Loving it, I burn like fire in hell. And totally, baby, I'm under your spell. Hey, feeling uptight, feeling like a man locked up in a cell. Hey, feeling uptight, waiting for someone to get things right.
From an elevated position outside the rally venue in Butler County, Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh. The Secret Service says their team neutralized the shooter, who is now dead. Officials holding a briefing hours after the shooting.
This evening we had what we're calling an assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump. And at this time, we are not prepared to identify who the shooter is.
Law enforcement sources tell ABC News the shooter fired a
many as 8 rounds using AR-style rifles on a rooftop 200 to 300 yards away. Tonight, Trump releasing a statement at Regent Park. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong, and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and I immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin.
Don't you think like maybe firecrackers? But it continued, and then somebody yelled, get down. We got down, and we huddled, and we started praying.
The shooting happening minutes into Trump's rally. Trump on stage reaching for his right ear, then apparently ducking behind the podium. Secret Service agents rushing the former president. Moments later, Trump taken to his feet with blood on his right ear. Trump waving a fist in the air as he's led off the stage, surrounded by Secret Service agents. This is happening ahead of a major week for Trump, the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to happen. We cannot be like this. Don't.
Harry Russell, ABC News.
Forward, every man who want you tonight to come forward. For the girl them will look neat when them walk on street, them
diaspora who was demonstrating against corruption and crime in Jamaica. And the diaspora is actually non-partisan. We don't care about PNPR jail because they have more or less stolen from the Jamaican people over and over again. They have benefited themselves, very self-serving. And as you can see that in the increase that they gave themselves, over 200% to the politicians and probably about 20% to civil servants. Now, the Prime Minister touched on something that's very dear to me as it relates to freedom of expression, freedom of thought, and in general, freedom to move around and to myself. If we look at the Jamaican Constitution in Chapter 3, it talks about fundamental rights and freedom. Specifically, Section 13, Item 3A through 3S. It speaks about your right as a Jamaican to dictate your destiny. We gotta remember that history is the greatest teacher. We have to look at history and see what past administrations have done to Jamaica. Right? We are descendants of our ancestors who fought for justice. And we need to honor those ancestors. Because if we don't rule ourselves, I'm guaranteeing you we'll be ruled by others. And here we have the government seeking to violate the Constitution by trying to take away our rights and freedom of speech by Jamaicans on social media. Well, let me say something. The rights and freedom of Jamaica must be protected at all costs. We will never compromise our freedom to the servants of the people. If you're serving the people, you serve the people. You don't take away their freedom. And every time you take a little and a little, and you put fear in people, the minute we take away fear out of this equation, then we'll realize how powerful we are. We will never give up our freedom of speech and expression in Jamaica. Never. There'll be no censorship to free speech. And we will not bow. Yes, you can speak to the Integrity Commission and tell them they can't disclose who the illicit six are. And that's fair enough, because by law, you kind of cap what they can say and what they can't say. But I'm going to tell you this. We, the Jamaican people, will never bow to censorship of free speech. I'm with Up Jamaica, movement of the people. And we have also aligned ourselves with the Jamaica Unity Alliance. And at this level, we're trying to unite the country. But I'm asking students, college students, high school students, please study the Constitution. It's not in a curriculum in the schools because they know, if you know the truth, they'll never rule over you. Let's rule for ourselves. Let's be strong. And let's get rid of crime and corruption in Jamaica once and for all. The time is right. And you must decide what you want. For yourself, your children, and your children's children. And these are primarily for the young people who spend a lot of money going to colleges. And you come out, you can't find a job. But yet, you're stuck with student loans. Yet you can't pay because the job that you get after going to colleges and universities cannot pay the bill. We need to change the corruption. We need to flip the script on these politicians, both the GLP and the PNP. Because what they did is they came together and they voted on a bill to get themselves in. And after the bill was passed, they tried to
into southern Russia. You read about these times where some of them were killed by accident. You know, a lot of rock falling on them and this sort of thing.
We're going to flip the script. Yeah, we're going to flip the script. Give the civil servants 400%, and you take 20%. For the folks who are invested in Jamaica, the foreigners, the Chinese, Spain, all these places that's getting incentives to come to Jamaica to provide jobs and not paying your fair share of taxes. You should pay your fair share of taxes. The incentive that you're getting to Jamaican people and businesses first, locally, should get double that incentive. If you get 5%, they should get 10%. We need to have a level playing field. The beaches that you're coming and you're taking to provide for tourism, to make money off Jamaican people also need to have access to those beaches. Yep. Each resort need to have a space for local Jamaicans who live in Jamaica, who maintain Jamaica, so that you can come, the tourists can come and enjoy yourself. And you investors who invest in Jamaica and take the profits out of our country. We need to make a change, Jamaicans. We have to make a change. If we keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results. Make the change. I did join Up Jamaica, the Jamaica Unity Alliance, the Jamaica Patriotic Movement, the Marcus Garvey Movement. We have Canfor. We need to protect so many people in Jamaica, the Maroons, the Tainos. What is being done to protect Jamaican people on a whole? We have to change it. And change only comes from within. Because freedom isn't really free.
So guys, I hope you have watched and listened to that strong message from our Jamaican professor. I usually call him professor because of how he usually gives this strong message and impact knowledge to Jamaicans. And just to highlight what our professor he has said, he has come out and tell Jamaicans it is the right time to bring some
left, leaving only two groups still here. Those were the Elohim in Judea.
By many names: Dave, Carl, Paul, Mike.
And the Mesoamerican gods, who also were Elohim, and who phonetically said they were Elwa. Okay, and that's okay. So
not to be confused with the Hakwa girl.
not to be confused. No. I know, same continent. Yeah. Anyway, that's all right. So here's my supposition. This is real speculation. Okay, I've done some inference and we've done some thinking about this, and a bunch of us have argued about it, and it's still my position that these people can sense, whether it's mechanistically using gadgets or through their own bodies, they can sense our state of intent. I think that the Elohim could do it, whether they were wearing the devices or not. They could do it out in the field, because you frequently read these stories in the non-Bible books that really should have been in the Bible but were kicked out, about the archangels walking around keeping order among the Judeans. And if
that one is Norbert. He's an idiot. They're all different, but they all share the same goal: to serve the most despicable master they could find. Making their master happy was the tribe's very reason for existence. Well, that's not to say that they didn't have other passions.
And was having a bad thought, they would take their finger and put it right through their forehead and kill him, right? Just boom. And so I think, it's my speculation, that they could read the changes occurring in the general population due to the galactic center emanations, and they knew their time was up. That they can't do that shit if we're not in the Kali Yuga, which we left in 1699.
Part of the supposition of why they left, there might be some political reasons also, but was also that they could no longer sustain their way of life here without those big domes to bring in those GONs, the energies from the galactic center. But as we are now moving past this M9 point and we're also receiving it, does that also suggest that they're now getting into a position of time where they can come here again en masse and without needing some of those extra GONs or technologies there?
We would speculate, but I suspect that they need those things constantly. Okay, that they're very much addicted to them, and that because of the language that you find in Avastan and Sanskrit and Chinese and Russian about this particular time when the Devas, the Elohim, walked among the people in the Hindu.
Finding a boss was easy, but keeping a boss, therein lies the rub.
No decision to leave, right? And here's the thing about the GONs. These guys, in the language about them being out of it, you get the impression that they stay as drunk as they possibly can continuously while they're out of the GONs. We understand they like drinking, but it's like, okay, is there some kind of like alcohol mediating the lack of that energy kind of a thing, right? Because it does not appear that there are that much of drunkards in the GONs.
So it's like before anesthesia, we need to drink alcohol before you cut a limb on a war battlefield type of thing. So they're drinking to nullify some effects of them not being inside the shield.
That's our supposition, right? Wow. Okay, so and there's no reason that we thought initially that the GONs was concentrating these rays like you might with a lens, but the more we read into it, it's mechanistic. Okay, they're controlled by devices that are connected to human minds that generate the energy.
It wasn't easy for these guys, but they never gave up. With the emergence of the Stone Age came the rise of a new species. Man was very different from the dinosaur. He was shorter, hairier, and way, way smarter. The minions took an instant liking to man and helped him the best they could.
Oh, no, no! Hey, la piñata! Sí, sí, para buque!
Poor man, so trusting, so fragile, so delicious. Their quest.
And they basically use the other physics, whether they are aware of it or not. The Elohim are a bizarre species because they are really quite stupid. They're very brutal, they're very organized, they're very hierarchical, but they're not creative, and they apparently didn't invent much, if any, of their own technology. They appear to be operating on sort of a archaeology or piracy kind of a basis where they would come across things and take it and use it, right? So they did not like doing their own work, and in fact That's what brought them to Earth. And theoretically, if you read the Bible, that's why they started engineering on Adam, and 191 years later, they produced it. Okay, was to produce a smart enough slave to run their gear. Because
For a boss, put the minions front and center for some of civilization's most historic moments. Ancient Egypt held great promise. But it didn't last long.
This is a restricted area! Hands in the air!
Let me do it.
Stop there! Get back!
because the lower level Elohim had rebelled and everything had ground to a halt. And that's when the head dude says, okay, I'll go along with you guys. Let's go invade that area over there. Let's make them in our image so that they can do this shit. You guys are off the hook.
Right. And talking about these machines, we had to work for them. Somebody in the chat said, oh my God, I'm so confused. We haven't even talked about circumcision yet. But go back and watch our previous show, guys. It's too much for tonight's conversation. So why don't we do this? We're sitting here just a couple of days away here from this target date of July 15th. And as you said, too, with the web data, it could be before it, could be after. There's some error margin there. Let's move into the fall. What does it look like? In your previous web data stuff, you had suggested words to the effect that by the fall, we went through a lot of stuff, but we're kind of seeing light at the end of the tunnel. We're knowing that, okay, we're in a direction now, we're handling some of the shit we just discovered. And in the spring, it's a completely different scenario. We're probably getting into the beginnings of sci-fi world, or maybe this hyper innovation wave. Run the scenario here with the latest web beta reports. Where are we going in the next 6 to 8 months from now? What do we see?
Well, it's all chaos, okay, and so that's going to have to be expected for the next 20 years.
Symbolizes the fiction on which the party is built. Like the history the party has created, like the so-called economic and military data it releases in the present, Big Brother is a manifestation of the lies upon lies upon lies that allow the party to maintain absolute control. There's no substance to their lies, just like there's no substance to Big Brother. But with no facts, no truth to prove them otherwise, the party and Big Brother remain untouchable. And in the end, that's what makes Big Brother so powerful, so godlike. In one of the most horrifying sections of 1984, Winston is tortured by O'Brien into accepting that 2 + 2 = 5. At first, Winston rebels. Even when O'Brien torments him with excruciating pain, Winston continues to rebel. No one can make 2 + 2 = 5, can they? Oh, in the world of 1984 they can, because eventually O'Brien uses one of his maniacal machines to manipulate Winston's mind. And when Winston comes to, he sees for the first time the possibility of 2 + 2 = 5. You might laugh at that because the thought of messing with the laws of mathematics seems beyond absurd. But Orwell picks such an extreme example for a reason. He wants his audience to recognize that truth is truth only insofar as we defend it. That's his theme. O'Brien can't change the laws of math, but he does break down Winston's ability to think those laws through fearlessly. He crushes Winston's ability to defend the truth. A warning about the side effects of totalitarianism? Definitely. But also a call for us to stand up for truth, or else. Orwell was wrong. Believe it or not, I think there was one thing that Orwell hated even more than he hated totalitarianism. I'll give you a hint. It's something we're all occasionally guilty of. I'll give you another hint. It's incredibly dangerous. What is it? Mental laziness. Mental laziness has a lot of different faces. It can come in the form of apathy, of just not caring. It can come in the form of actual laziness, of not wanting to think something through because it just requires too much effort. Or it can come in the form of fear, not thinking something through because you're too afraid of what might happen if you do. In Orwell's dystopian society, even Winston's decision to really think instead of to succumb to a mindless existence